Day and all of that, man. But nobody fears the Most High, right? And you got a lot of that in Israel right now, man. With so-called polite, all right. You got polite, got out here, it's pretty much saying the black woman is God, man, but she can't save you, which is an oxy-fucking-moron, all right. But that's what you got out there, man. That's why oppression. We're in a state of being oppressed right now, man. Right, the worst of our enemies, the weakest of the nation, right? The weakest of the nation, Esau is in power right now, man. That's a state of being oppressed, man. We're going to the book of Job. It says, I've seen servants upon horses. That's the state we're in right now, man. All right, but when you go into the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, hey, guess what, man? Right, the wicked, Esau, all of that, man. They're gonna see the uplifting of the men, man. They're gonna anguish, right? They're gonna be in a state of being sorrowful, man. Right, because it says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as afflicted him. So even now we got servants upon horses, but when the Most High flips the script, man, he's gonna have it to where, man, Esau's gonna quiver, man. He's gonna be like a woman in travail, man, a woman that's about to give birth. That's how much pain's gonna be on Esau when he sees the men of the Lord being physically raised up, but we're being raised up right now in a spiritual sense. All right. It's back in the book of Micah, the 2nd chapter, and the 3rd verse. It says, and he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and he shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. So after all of this, which I'm going to get into in a second, man, right? Because there's a flip side to that scripture, man. Right? There's a flip side to where you're going to have the opposite of that happening, namely in the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, man. You ain't going to be, we're in a state of beating your plowshares into spears right now, right? But like it says there in the future, this is what's going to happen. It says, and he shall judge among many people and rebuke many strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their spears right into plowshares. So there's gonna come a time when you ain't gonna learn of war anymore, right? But that's gonna come after something is gonna have to happen first, man. Right, which I'm gonna get into in just a second. It says, and their spears into pruning hooks, right? Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn of war anymore. So after a certain period of time, man, we're gonna after when the Most High sets the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans up, the real Israelites on earth, man. After he sets them up, right, as once their kingdom's been established, man, right, after the 1,000 years of hardcore captivity, you ain't gonna learn of war anymore, man. There ain't gonna be no need for war, man. We're gonna judge all of that, man. We're gonna do the judgments of all of that. You got Kwanzaa, another nation, man. We're gonna deal with that, man. All right. But first and foremost, what has to come to pass is what's spoken of in the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. All right? Let me jump to that real quick. So this is the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, and the 1st verse. It says, for behold, in those days, right, and in that time, will I bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. And what you're seeing, right, it should be a pattern. Right, the Most High bringing again the captivity of Judah, all right, and Jerusalem, which was like I've been saying, who's Judah and who's Jerusalem? Jerusalem is the Latin-speaking tribe, the so-called Native Americans, right, South Americans, all of that. They're the tribe, they're the house of Jerusalem, man. The tribe of Judah, the Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, man, constituting the 12 tribes of Israel, all right. It says bringing again, right, taking them out of that state of being enslaved, man, right. Taking them out of the captivity that we done hardcore serve, man. Right, but what's synonymous with that is comes about or the bringing about the destruction of Esau, man. All right. So it says here, and I'll gather all nations and I'll bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I shall plead there for my people and my heritage Israel. All right. I'm gonna touch on some few precepts on that. Right. And I'll start off in Revelations, the 16th chapter, 16th verse. Right, this is Revelation 16 and 16. It says, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Right, and we go into that word Armageddon, if I remember it correctly, man, which means a mountain of troops, man. Right, meaning all kind of people's gonna lose their lives over it, man. All kind of people gonna die in that mountain of decision, man. Well, like it goes on to say furthermore, man. Right? But let me go off now into the book of Isaiah, right? The 13th chapter, right? And it goes on to speaking all about that, man. Right? How it's going to play out. So this is Isaiah 13:1. It says, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah, the son of Amos, did see. It says, lift ye up a banner upon a high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, and shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the noble. It says, I have commanded my sanctified ones, that they may rejoice in my highness. It says, the noise of multitudes, like as a great people, a tumultuous noise, kingdoms of nations gathered together, right? The Lord of hosts mustereth up the host of battle, right? So the Most High has put it on these different nations' spirit, right? To be at odds with each other, and they're at odds until they're even, right? And they're gonna be even when the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans get theirs, man. That's when things gonna get even. But right now they're at odds, man. Right? You got like I've been saying, man. You got Iran, right, and Israel. That could be the thing that pops off World War III. You got Russia and America. That could be the thing that pops off World War III. South Korea, right? That could be the thing that pops off World War III. You got three scenarios that, or ISIS. They might use so-called ISIS, which was set up by the CIA, as a means of starting World War III, man. So you got 4 factors right there that are all being played out right now in this day and age, man. You can flick on your news right now, you can hear about any one of those 3 things, any one of those 4 factors as being the one that started World War III. And still you got people out here, man, holding fully into highness, man. But the scripture says, man, folly is set up as a great thing, man. You know, the scripture slips me a little bit, right? But it pretty much says folly is said as a great thing, man. Stupidity, man. Foolishness, man. That's we're in the state we're in, man. We're in the state where 4 factors, four different things, right? It could be a reasonable reason for World War III being kicked off today, right now, man. Switch on the TV, they can say World War III is kicked off because of ISIS, Iran, Israel, or Russia, or South Korea, man. Any one of those things could be one of those factors, man. Right, and this thing just pop off, man. So guess what? You're supposed to be hastening the day, man. Right? You're supposed to be in a state of being pushing this word, man. Because this thing could pop off at any minute, man. All right. The Lord, like going back into the scriptures here in Isaiah the 13th chapter, right? The Lord of hosts mustereth up the battle, right? He mustereth up the host of battle, man. He's put it in their spirit, right, to come up against each other, man, to come up into that valley, man, to have a war, man, so that he can set his own thing up, man. All right. It says here, and they come from a far country, from the ends of heaven, even the Lord, right, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. And that's talking about the principal country that's going to be destroyed, namely America, right, where the bulk of the salvation of the chariots is going to take place, man. That's going to take place in the land that you know as America, which is Babylon, man, within the scriptures. All right? It goes by other names. Sometimes it's known as Syria, sometimes it's known as Egypt, sometimes it's known as Sodom and Gomorrah. But for the most part, when you read the Bible and it's talking about Babylon, it's talking about America, man, the land of confusion, man. Because there ain't nothing new underneath the sun, like I keep on pressing. Right? There ain't nothing new underneath the sun. Right, you got situations and places and things that happen over and over again, and there's a reason for that, because it's supposed to be easier, right, to identify. It's supposed to be easier to identify one wickedness, right, because wickedness is going to always come back in the same place, namely Esau is going to be always treacherous as he's always been. Can't make no deals with Esau, man. Right, there ain't no holding hands and being peaceable with Esau. The only way you can establish peace upon the earth is to destroy Esau, man. Right? That's the only way peace will be established, man. The devil's gonna be taken out, man. Right? Right? You gotta take the devil out, man. You got some funny dudes nowadays. Like I said, my folly is set in a high place, man. He's more than happy to wave him the camera. You don't stand by and stand forth for his beliefs, man. Right? Which he has no beliefs, man. He's a fucking Arab, man. You're gonna be a slave in the kingdom anyway, man. All right? A low slave at that. Right, you know, a sewage cleaner or some shit like that, man. It says, hey, they come from a far country, right? Even from the end of the heaven, even Lord in his indignation to destroy the whole land. So the whole land of America, man, is gonna be destroyed, man. All right? And it says, in fact, when you go further on here, I'm gonna just jump down, right? This is the 21st verse, and it says, but the wild beasts of the desert shall dwell there. Right? Matter of fact, let me start in the 19th verse. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, the excellence, and Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, which when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, guess what? Anybody was able to live out there after, man. Right? It says there, and it shall never be inhabited, and shall never be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch his tent there, neither shall the shepherd make his fold there, right? But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. The beasts of the islands shall cry in the desolate houses, and the dragons in the pleasant palaces, and her times to come, and her days are not to be prolonged, man. So the Most ain't gonna have this thing go out for a long time or anything like that, man. But like I said, man, it could pop off at any minute, man. Prophecies gonna come to pass. The mark of the beast is gonna come to gonna be forcibly implemented, right? Martial law is gonna be forcibly implemented. All right, but you got the factors on the table that can be that can play out the destruction of this kingdom. So this thing can pop off at any minute, man. All right, and that principle I was talking about there, that's talking about when America's destroyed and that whole land is destroyed. You ain't gonna have nothing there, man. It's gonna stand as the memorial, right, as to what happens, right, when you piss the Most High off, man. That's what it's gonna stand there for, man. It's gonna be there as a memorabilia. Right, so this is what happens, right? When you go off on the Lord's statutes, commandments of the Most High, you have the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans in captivity, but we ain't gonna be in that state, but you're gonna have it as a memorial, man. That's gonna be like our Arch of Titus, man. Right? Because when you overthrew Jerusalem and all of that, you made your monument. So when we overthrow you, the Most High is gonna have your own city. He's gonna have the whole, not no ark or anything like that, man. He's gonna have your whole city, man, as a monument, right, as a memorabilia to the destruction of your kingdom, man. You're gonna have the destruction of your kingdom as a monument to the destruction of your kingdom, man. All right? Because when you go back into the history, man, right, that land really was kind of empty, before you had before you had the natives go up into there, right? We sent, King Solomon sent forth ships and all of that to get resources and that, but really for the most part, it was kind of empty. You had kind of nations, different kind of nations here and there, but it was kind of empty. It's gonna go back into that, like I said, man. There ain't nothing new underneath the sun, man. All right. This is back in Isaiah, the 13th chapter, and the 6th verse. It says, "Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, and it shall come as destruction from the Almighty." So, there the Lord is destruction, man. All right, it ain't no day of sharing candy and being peaceful and happy on that, man. It's the day of destruction, man. Right? It says, "Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them, and they shall be as a woman that travaileth, and shall be amazed one and another, right? Their faces shall be as flames, for the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both in wrath and fierce anger." So that's the state of the Lord coming back, man. He's gonna be fierce. He's gonna be fierce in anger to lay the land desolate, right? He shall destroy the sinner thereof out of it, man. Right? It says, "For the stars," and this is going a little bit into the signs and the wonders that you're going to see, but really it's going into when that smoke or that fire goes up, all right, and when you see America burning, this is what it goes into. It says, "For the stars of heaven and the constellation thereof shall not give their light, and the sun shall be darkened in its going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine." So you're going to have that smoke go up, right, from all those buildings being destroyed, right, to it. You ain't gonna have the stars in that showing the light or anything like that, man. All right, it's gonna be utterly destroyed, in other words, man. Which is gonna be a damn beautiful thing, man. To see the country that caused us perpetual reproach, man, to be destroyed, man. That's gonna be beautiful, man. You Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you should want that, man. That's beautiful, man. All right, the Most High is gonna destroy. He's gonna have your enemies serve you, man. He's gonna destroy. He's gonna leave his whole country, his own nation, to be a monument to his own destruction, man. That's a damn beautiful thing, man. You Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, it's high time you wake up out of sleep, man. Right, and realize the moment, man. Right, realize the magnitude of the times that we're living in right now, because we're living in heavy times right now. You had it yesterday where you had a solar eclipse, man. And when you go into the scriptures, man, right, the Most High has always set up celestial bodies in the sky to give you kind of a feel as to what was going to happen, man. Right, when you got a solar eclipse, right, and a supermoons, all of that, and it's a spring, so-called spring solstice, and it's Mars. You know, this devil always plays out his wars in Mars, because Mars is like the god of war, man, where you get the word Mars from, man. So anything can pop up, man. When the time of things popping up, man, anything can pop up, man. But that's why the scripture says it's high time to wake up out of sleep, man. All right. So it says, hey, how are ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, and it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and he shall be afraid, and pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them, right? And they shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth, and shall be amazed at one another. Their faces shall be as flames, right? Behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, right, and destroy the sin of thereof, right? And I read that, but it says, and I'll punish the world for their wicked evil, right, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I'll cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. And who's more proud than Esau, man? The Most High is going to lay low his pride, man. He's going to bring him down, man. And when you go into the scripture, it speaks about pride going forth before destruction, man. Right, so Esau's pride is going to be taken away off. The Most High is going to take away Esau's pride. He might walk, you know, head high, chest high, and all of that lofty right now, but the Most High is going to take away all of that pride, man. Right, it's going to be a damn beautiful thing, man. It's going to be a damn beautiful sight to see that happen too. All right, it says, and I'll lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Who's terrible, man? Esau's doing all this destruction throughout the four corners of the earth, man. Who's more terrible than Esau right now, other than save the Most High, man? All right, he's doing all kind of madness, fucking up the food, fucking up the water, man. Right? It says there, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man the golden words of Ophir. And that's talking about the Israelite, man. To it, when this destruction is being played out, the martial law and all of that's being played out. Right, Mosiah is going to elevate the man again, right? Because we're in a state right now where we're in a feminist society where, you know, women's rights upheld and all that, and that's all contrary to the scriptures, because that breaks down the household. Mosiah set up an order, man. Man at the top, woman underneath it, man. Right, and when she's in the order, she's beautiful, man. But I ain't gonna get all up, you know, too deep into that, man. All right. It says therefore shall, namely the Mosiah at the top, Yahweh underneath him. All right, David, the man, and the woman, man. It's that simple. The angels, King David, and then the woman. All right, and then your kids and all of that, man. There's an order to this thing, man. When you break that order, man, you bring all kind of malice and all kind of, you know, all kind of madness up into the house, man. All right, it says, therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Most High, in the day of his fierce anger. It says, yeah, all right, okay, man. All right, and it shall be as a chased roe, as a sheep that no man taketh up, and there shall every man turn to his own people, right, and flee everyone into his own country, right. And everyone that shall be found shall be thrust through, right. And everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So you got treaties that they have with America, and all of that. Right, all of these different countries have treaties with America and all of that. Guess what? Those treaties are gonna be the reason why they're gonna be destroyed as well, man. So you got the so-called North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or in other words, NATO. Right, all of those countries are gonna be destroyed because what that precept says, man. I'm gonna read that again. Right, it says, "It shall be as the chased roe, and as the sheep that no man taketh up. There shall every man turn to his own people, and everyone flee into his own country, and everyone that is found." Everyone that shall be found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them by way of NATO and all of that, right? Everyone that's joined unto them, right, shall fall by the sword. So you're gonna have you're gonna have it to where the old Soviet Union, the USSR, where it's gonna come up against NATO. And history goes to show you that, man. Right, and when you go into these geopolitical analysts and all of that, they tell you we're the precipice of NATO, and the so-called USSR, the old Soviet Empire, right, going to battle it out again, man. Right, because they're seeing the same old things that happened in the past. That's why when you study the past, man, history, it really lets you know of what's going to happen in the future, man. Right, going back to the point like I was making. Every hand that is joined onto them, you got these treaties that America has with these nations that constitute NATO. Right, all of those different countries gonna be destroyed, man, by way of South Korea, China, Russia, all of that, man. All of them countries that have treaties with Russia. All right, so it's gonna be, like I said, man, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. But the point I was getting that piece about, right, is what it says here in the fourth verse. This is what it says here: the noise of multitudes and mountains, right, like as a great people, or tumultuous noise. All right, kingdoms and nations, right, gathered together, and the host, I love the host, and mustereth up the host of battle, man. So that's what's coming, man. Alright, so this is back in the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter and the 2nd verse. It says, and I'll gather all nations, and I'll bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my lands. Because they scattered us, they played the part of scattering us throughout the different nations, man. Alright? So it says here, that they cast lots for my people, and they've given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might buy drink. And that only applies to one group of people. That's how we know those so-called Jews ain't the real people of the Most High. All right. It says,